on yours. So we'll let you move those.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, perfect. Well, I am so excited to introduce you all to Ryan Creech. He is coming to us from University of Kentucky Human Development Institute, and he has graciously decided and agreed to be our presenter related to the topic of Word and PDF accessibility, practical strategies for an inclusive documents. And I am just really excited to learn from him today. We all know that this is a timely topic, and I'm not going to keep talking because we have only so much time with him today, but we really do hope that you'll continue to join us next month for that hands-on workshop, as well as kind of thinking about things and kind of troubleshooting stuff the following month. But without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Ryan.
All right, thank you for that wonderful introduction. As you said, my name is Ryan Creech. I'm the Technical Assistance Coordinator at UK Human Development Institute. Been with HDI since 2011. I spent the first 12 years that I was at HDI as an assistive technology specialist with Kentucky OVR and worked with a ton of different consumers of all kinds of backgrounds and disabilities. And then I also did quite a bit of work with our Tech Act agency in Kentucky, cooperative extension, especially our agribility program for disabled farmers. Me personally, I am a T6, T7 paraplegic after an ATV accident back in 2007. Anxiety, depression, ADHD. I also serve on the board of the Advocado Press in Louisville and the Appalachian Assistive Technology Loan Fund. So that's kind of, things that I qualifications. As an assistive technology specialist, so I spent a ton of time on campuses, working really closely with disability resource centers, and then also kind of guest lecturing on a whole pile of topics and working with individual students and occasionally like their professors, that kind of stuff to help advise and make sure they had the supports they needed on campus. Over the next couple of sessions, we're going to be talking about Word and PDF accessibility. Today, I had planned on giving a little bit more like big picture overview of this whole the changing regulations that we're looking into. But if you would like to check out the course handout, it's linked here on the screen. There's also a QR code if you're a QR code user. There you can find my contact information, lots of links and resources, and specific topics about some of the things that we'll be talking about, especially for next session. Today, like I said, I wanted to bring up digital accessibility, like exactly what that means and why it matters. How do we evaluate it? What these regulation changes that are coming up at the end of this quarter mean for all of us, and then kind of hype up the hands-on part for the next couple of workshop meetings. So when we talk about digital accessibility, we're looking at digital materials and making them available to all of our users, right? It's kind of that universal design, making sure that our stuff works for everybody. That could be people with visual impairments or blindness, hearing impairments, speech impairments, physical impairments like fine motor control or limited reach and strength. One of the examples I give a lot is that there are Windows shortcuts that you can use to do things within Windows that you have to push 4 or 5 keys at a time. And so if
Mhm.
you don't have great hand strength, if you have small hands, like my wife has trouble reaching all of the keys to hit 5 keys at the same time, then those can be issues that affect how accessible our digital footprint is. And so, kind of like when we're talking about accessibility, um, in my experience, it's kind of like an abstract thing, and it's hard to really put put like a concrete example with it. So one of the best ways that I've found to do that though is by using screen reader demonstrations. So when we have people who do have a visual impairment that could be caused by like an actual visual impairment, or it could be like a visual processing thing, somebody with a like developmental disability or something psychological disability. that prevents them from being able to take in the information just by reading it. So with a screen reader, we can have that information read aloud to the person. It's also very helpful for people who use assistive technology like a Braille machine. So there are devices that can take the words on the screen and turn them into Braille output. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced those kind of things before. In the United States alone, we have more than 7 million people with some kind of visual disability. And again, so that's limited vision or language, cognitive, learning disabilities. And so when we look at screen readers, we here's just a couple of examples. The first three on the screen are Windows based. So we have NVDA, which stands for Non-Visual Desktop Access, which is free and open source, which means it's pretty much one of the most popular screen readers. And so I'm going to show a couple of screen reader demonstrations that I made using NVDA. There's also JAWS, which at least started out standing as job access with speech, which is the very much the top of the line screen reading software, and is used by folks with visual impairments all over the world. Really amazing software. And then Windows Narrator is kind of the more stripped down version that's built into Windows. Let's see. Then you've got VoiceOver, which is built into your iPhones, your MacBook, your any of your Apple devices. TalkBack, which is kind of the same thing, except for it's for Android. And then Orca is a screen reader that's available for Linux users. I don't know if there are many of you on the call other than me who are Linux users, but Orca is another cool software to know about. There are pros and cons to all of these different screen readers, but it kind of comes down to what the user's personal preference and experience is. But like I said, for me, I like screen readers because they help contextualize what this accessibility stuff is all about.
Ryan, it's not coming through very clearly for the audio. I might have you stop sharing your screen and just make sure those two boxes are
Okay.
toggled when you share
Yeah,
screen. Try.
they are, but let me double check, but I think they are. I will say that on that course handout, these videos are also available there. Just a minute, I'll try this again. One moment, please. It's always good when the technology folks have trouble with their technology. Like it kind of makes everybody feel a little bit better. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Do I have the share sound on? Is that any better? Heading below and heading.
It's really kind of breaking up. You can hear a little bit of it, but it is kind of breaking up. And so we did put the link to that handout in the chat for those that want to kind of check that out as well.
And I will say too, it is coming, the audio is coming through. It's difficult to hear, but the captions are reading it very well if the captions pull up. So I mean, we can see that it is working. We just can't hear it very well, which is again a good lesson in accessibility. So either way,
Absolutely.
the point is right.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go back and remaster these because I feel like, as we've been kind of messing with it today, like I think maybe we did have an issue once before. I'll have to check with my friends back at HDI, but with the sound level. Um, yeah, so the point of this video is just to kind of demonstrate some different ways that a screen reader user might navigate through your document. So this is why it's really important that our PDFs and our Word documents are properly tagged so that I apologize. I got too many things going here. I was trying to pause that. There we go. Okay. Um, But yeah, so this is why it's super important that we make sure that the documents are formatted and structured and tagged properly so that we have different levels of headings and that they're set up in a hierarchical kind of arrangement. And then also that we give proper names to things, like our links have good text that's usable for our assistive technology users, and that that all of the background information is there that's necessary for our assistive technologies to be able to read things. Let's see, this is a Word demo. I'm going to skip that. Okay. So I will say again, if you do go to the digital handout, all of these videos are there. If you just click, there's a table of contents that you can visit that will take you to, and then you can just look for screen reader demonstration and it'll jump right to that section. So, what do we look at as far as metrics for accessibility? So, the biggest thing is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or the WCAG guidelines. They were first published back in 1999, and they are maintained by the World Wide Web Consortium, which is an international group of people whose kind of reason for existing is to define accessibility in the web space and kind of like help provide again, like help break it down into the guidelines that we can use. So with WCAG, um, um, they've broken down accessibility into four principles, which they kind of abbreviate as the POUR principles, POUR. That is that accessible content has to be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And I'll define those on the next slide. But they provide guidelines based on each of those principles, and then what they call success criteria. So success criteria are specific little um, things to look for, little metrics to look for to make sure that your content is accessible. They also provide lots of advice. If you go into their web portal on methods and techniques you can use to achieve all of those success criteria. So it's really an important kind of integral part of our striving for accessibility. With the new rules that we got from the Department of Justice about um, our website accessibility, this kind of push before April, is that we all have to meet, like all of our digital assets have to meet the WCAG standards 2.1, which is kind of not the most recent revision, but one of the more recent revisions, and has to meet level AA. And again, we'll get to that in a minute. But okay, so the poor principles. Sorry, this video thing has completely thrown me off my game. The four principles. So perceivable, your information has to be available to people's senses, right? So no matter what technology they use, they have to be able to actually get to your content. So for this, we think about things like adding alt text to your images, right? Like descriptions to your images so that somebody who can't see them can still understand what the picture is and what the context is for it being there. Another example would be good color contrast, like making sure that your text color and your background color aren't so close that that you can't really make out what the letters are supposed to say. Content that's operable means that, like, if you have controls, if there is navigation to get around within your document, your website, your app, it should be it should be navigable no matter how the person accesses the computer. So if somebody comes to your website and they see something that looks like a link, then they should be able to tap on it, click on it, engage with it, and it should go to whatever the text of it says. In the same way, like if there is a title or a heading structure on a web page or in your Word document, in your PDF, people should be able to bring that up within those associated programs, see that heading structure, and jump through your document using that. Understandable content uses familiar patterns. So, like if you're building a web app, and there's a menu kind of on the main page, like I would expect a menu to be at the top of the page, and like if it's an app, then to maybe have like the three lines or what we call like a hamburger menu. That I can tap and then the menu appears. And so if you have your menu hidden, like if it's in a weird place, or you use like a different, icon to mean menu, like you use a compass or something, instead of three lines or three dots, then that can really kind of mess with people. You want to make sure that you're using plain language, like simple terminology. Stay away from the jargon and the big long words and complex sentences. And then, as I said, kind of making sure that your menu is where people are going to be looking for a menu. And then there's robust is the final, the R principle. So in other words, your site has those markup features. It has headings established. It has tags. If it's a PDF, it's tagged properly so that your site is available to assistive technologies, whether it's a screen reader or something different. It can find all of the parts of your website. That means that your site will work reliably now with assistive technology, but also that going forward in the future, no matter how the technologies change, they will always be able to fall back on this is what the accessibility standards used to be, and so this is we know that we're looking for a structure like this. Some examples of robust designs are like responsive web designs, so that your website looks different on a desktop computer than what it would on somebody's mobile phone. Because it's really easy if you design just for one or just for the other to break it on other devices, which makes it completely useless for the half of the population that tries to access it that way. And also just making sure that whatever tools or features or fancy bells and whistles you're trying to use work across the majority of web browsers or work across the majority of phones. There are during my time as an assistive technology specialist, I had to keep big lists of apps that were useful for my students because some of them like only worked on iPhones and some of them only worked on Android devices, and it was hard to find like those unicorns that worked on both. But so when you're designing things, you really want to like try to direct towards making sure that it's compatible with the largest number of people. Okay, so then, yeah, so kind of talking about those WCAG standards, just kind of wanted to give you like an example of one. So, what I came up with was the link purpose success criteria that are available in WCAG. So, in WCAG 2.1, there is a principle number 2, which is operable, right? So we talked about that in our core principle. This is operable, so you have to be able to interact with it. Within operable, there are guidelines, and guideline 2.4 is about navigable content. So it says that your document, your app, your website should provide ways to help users navigate, find what they're looking for, and determine where they are within the page. So within that guideline 2.4, WCAG has 2 success criteria. There's 2.4.4, which is link purpose and context. And then there is 2.4.9, which is link purpose, link only. Now, I mentioned earlier that the new rules from DOJ about the ADA and making sure that your content is compliant say that we have to meet level AA, level 2A compliance. So you notice here that link purpose in context is level A, and link purpose link only is level AAA. So in order to meet the AA standard, you have to meet at least the single A standard. Since there's not a double A standard, then you have to at least meet that single A standard. So in context means if you see this, and this is just a screenshot over here on the left of my screen, but let's see if I can get my pointer. Okay, there we go. So something like maybe this Orca for Linux here is a screen reader, as we mentioned. But so it's here we've got text on the page, Orca for Linux, and underneath of that there's a link that says download. And then next to that, there is another text on screen that says back for Android, download, and then voiceover for iPhone, and then a link underneath of that that says download. So if I were listening to this with my screen reader, when it gets to those links, it's just going to read link, download, link, download, link, download. And so without reading the text surrounding it, like in this case, what I'm saying now, talk back for Android, without that context, I can't tell what the link is taking me to. Um, if I go ahead and strive for the link purpose with the link only, and let's see, can I? Yeah. So now I've updated the screenshot to be a little bit different. So now here I have screen readers, and then I have a list of screen readers, and instead of having TalkBack for Android devices, VoiceOver for Apple, and then the download link, I've just made TalkBack, VoiceOver, and Orca the actual download links. That way, if I'm a user, then instead of hearing link download, link download, link download, I would hear link voiceover, link talkback, and link Orca. So, doing something like that, you can see how that AAA level makes the links a lot more kind of self-sufficient. Another example would be here at the top of the screen, I have a link that says it takes me to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. If I go to before I remediated it, then it just has the URL www.w3.org/tr/wcag22/ so if I was a person who couldn't see it and was just listening to it, then hearing that URL means absolutely nothing to me. But if I can just listen to it's a link to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, then that makes it just quite a bit more accessible.
Ryan, I just wanted to let you know that
Yes.
with using the red pointer, it's kind of starting to kind of make a little bit of a lag and kind of jumbling some of your words. So I know it's making it easier for some of
Okay.
us to, but it's also impacting your audio.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
are loving
I just
technology
turned it
today.
off. I know, right? I just turned it off. Are you all able to see my mouse pointer?
Yes,
Like
we can
right
see
now,
it
I'm
fine.
pointing at like Talkback and Orca.
Yes.
Okay, okay. As long as you're able to see that, I just wanted to make sure that you could see the pointer, so I won't use the laser. Okay. So then just kind of highlighting a couple of those new digital accessibility rules. All Title II agencies have to meet that WCAG 2.1 level AA standard. And so as we know, that's coming up April 24th of this year for entities that serve 50,000 or more people. And then next year for smaller ones. For those of us at public universities, that's based on your state's population, not your university's enrollment numbers. And so that means that, for the most part, those of us at public universities have it coming up this spring. In the past, the ADA's rules for digital accessibility were basically if someone asks you to provide a website or provide a material in an accessible way, then you need to do that. But now what they're saying is this WCAG 2.1 level AA is the minimum standard. and you need to make sure that everything you have already meets that. If people need something beyond that, maybe they can still ask about it, but like the default should be to produce everything at that WCAG level AA standard. And so that the rule, as you read it, it talks about things that are public facing, but the ADA also does apply to employees. So internal tools that you might use, like if you have a tool that you use in the bursar's office for managing accounts, those kind of things, should also be kind of geared toward making sure that they're accessible for people with disabilities. I My first job working for the University of Kentucky was with Cooperative Extension Service. And when I went to work the first week, they told me that when they had built the building, they built like the public parts to be accessible, but they never expected to hire somebody in a wheelchair. And so, like, they were trying to figure out a place to put a workstation for me that, like, I didn't have to go down any of the back hallways because they were all too narrow and had too sharp of a turns. So, yeah, it's important that we make sure that, that we're considering our employees and our internal tooling too. But all of your public facing stuff. So that includes things from third party vendors. So if your university is paying for Canvas, Blackboard, something like that, or we use Concur at University of Kentucky as like our expense management, like travel expenses and stuff. So one of the requirements is that because we are part of a state government agency, we have to make sure that if we're providing those things for our employees and for our students, that they have to meet those same standards. And again, like as a university, you have to audit your own materials and make sure that your stuff is already at that WCAG level AA, not just wait until somebody asks you for it. Um, Not going to read this slide, but it's just kind of like just the huge amount of scope that accessibility means. Like digital kiosks, self-service terminals, videos and multimedia that you might have on your website, even content within your learning management system. So, like if you have courses, I know we have a lot of courses at UK that I've been working on lately that have videos in them that aren't closed captioned properly. And that's a requirement as part of this. Like those videos have to be closed captioned if you're providing them for your students. Just wanted to mention again, like we are going to do the interactive workshops. The one in March, I was planning to do a lot more in-depth like techniques and like hands-on activities around fixing documents in Word and PowerPoint. I'm going to post a few documents on the digital handout that we can work on together. There's also going to be some homework where you can play around with some yourself. And then when we come back on in April, we can kind of review those and see how you did and kind of, work through them together a little bit. And of course, answer your questions. Again, this is the last slide. Just again, the digital course handout for anybody who didn't get it before. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions between now and then. And I hope you got something out of today. I apologize for the technical difficulties, and I look forward to the rest of the spring.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ryan. And yes, I mean, if we weren't talking about technology and didn't have technology issues, that would be probably very strange for all of us. So
Mhm.
we leaned in and we got through. So thank you for your flexibility in presenting with some of our Zoom issues today. We really appreciate this. So as Ryan mentioned, we do have some coffee chats that are coming up where you will be able to get some hands-on experiences with a workshop, with doing some PDF and Word document, modifications and maybe like how do we start kind of in that way just to make sure that we don't need to go back and remediate some of our documents. I know that many of us might be in that boat for some things. And so I did put in the chat some links to register for those sessions if you haven't already. And then in April, we'll be able to really kind of have a reflective session. What's going well, what's challenging, really problem solve some of that so that we really set you up to be ready to do that in your respective settings. Real quick, I am going to share hold on. These are our upcoming dates for our quarterly meetings and for the coffee chats. And so just so you have those on your calendar. And finally, here is a QR code to subscribe to the listserv. If you are not already connected with us, we would love to be able to keep you kind of in the loop with everything. And so if you find that you are enjoying these types of trainings, want to become more involved with CEDC, we would love to have you. It is open to all. It is not exclusive. And so here is a way for you to join our listserv. Miranda, anything last comments?
I have a
No,
question.
again,
Oh.
thank you. Yeah, Darian. No, go ahead.
So the dates that you've shown, because I didn't have anything to write them down with, can you forward those to me? Or email them to me if possible?
Yeah, so we're
Um,
gonna send an email to all the conference participants with the transcript, the recording, the PowerPoint that has the
oh,
dates, and then I'm assuming in because Amy is awesome, we'll probably have it in the message. So yeah, you'll get all of this. Probably give us a probably early next week.
okay.
And then Darian, and for all of you, I went ahead and put my email in the chat if you have direct questions. I know Amy's email, Amy D's email was in the slides, and you'll get those as well. But if you guys have any questions where you just want to reach out directly, I know sometimes people are hesitant to mess with the listserv because it starts messaging everybody. So there's some direct emails to either one of us as well. So if you miss something or if you need more, more information, just let us know, and we will happy to connect you. And again, thank you guys so much. Yes, I think Amy said it best, like, what is a best way to introduce accessibility without having, some technical difficulties and accessibility getting us through it. So thank you guys again. Our next meeting is March 19th. That will be a coffee chat. It is not a quarterly meeting. Amy put that in the chat, and then we'll send that out as well for registering. And we hope to see you guys, and we hope you build your skills and come back with more to share for us as well. So thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Anna, do you want to stop the recording real quick and then we can